Hello. On today's episode of The Christian Next to You, I am here with my friend Amber, and she is going to tell you who she is and where she's come from to now being the Christian next to you. I hope you enjoy this episode and enjoy getting to know Amber a little bit better. Hi, welcome back to another episode of The Christian Next to You. I am your host, Parker LaGrange, and I am here with my friend Amber. Amber, tell us about who you are.
My name is Amber Cavaney, and I am a married Christian woman. I have two kids, and I am a member of Southwest Church of Christ.
Cool. Tell me a little bit about you and your husband. Tell me how y'all met, how long you've been together.
Chris could tell you when we met. I, however, do not remember when we met,
Oh, wow.
but
Gotcha.
he can tell you. We have been together for almost 13 years married and together for 14. We actually got engaged after only being together for 1 month.
That makes me feel more normal.
Yes. We dated for 1 month and got engaged and got married 8 months later. And we've
Nice.
been together going strong ever since. We have two children. I have an 8-year-old little boy who is in love with the church. He is absolutely amazing, and it just warms my heart how welcome we were and how excited he is about learning about God and just getting up in front of the church. And then I have my Spitfire, Brinley, who we call her a Sour Patch Kid because 1 minute she is so sweet and so loving, and then the next minute she is so sour it makes you just want to never eat a lemon again.
She's a diva through and through. I'm so
Oh,
excited to
yes.
see what she's like as a teenager.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
She definitely is going to be a strong-willed, independent person. I won't
Hmm.
have to worry about her in that aspect. Hunter has the, huge heart and cares about everybody, and he would give anybody his last dollar. Um, Brinley, on the other hand, she will let you see her dollar, but you cannot have it. So it will definitely be a different situation when she gets older.
When she comes in on Sunday morning and has her little donut, she's like, "Look, Parker, I have my donuts."
Yeah, but she's not gonna give you one.
I will never have one of her donuts, but I know she has her
Yes.
donuts. That's so funny.
Yes. She, does not share donuts, no matter how many she has,
Yeah,
but she will show them to you.
that's awesome. Now, what do you do for a living?
I am a LPN, which is a licensed practical nurse at Digestive Disease Specialist in Oklahoma City.
Cool.
I've been doing that for 6 years, but I've been an LPN for 10 years, and I've worked in the medical field for about 16 years.
Cool. Did you go to school with that in mind the whole time or
I have always wanted to be a nurse. I've always had
yeah.
that nurture and taking care of people side of me. All the little kids, wanted to be astronauts or princesses or millionaires or, you know, cool kids from the 90s. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things along that
Yeah.
nature.
You didn't wanna be a Ninja
No,
Turtle?
I
Oh,
never wanted
gotcha.
to be a Ninja Turtle. I wanted to be a nurse. A nurse with superpowers,
Mhm.
but a nurse, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Cool. So, how long were you in school for that, and where'd you go?
Well, I started out at Eastern Oklahoma State College in Wilburton, and I started with my basics. Took a little bit of a long road, um, little journey
Mhm.
outside of all of that, and then I eventually met Chris and finally stuck to my basics, went to LPN school. I started as a nurse assistant, then a medical assistant, then an AUA, and then LPN.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so
Now where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tuttle, Oklahoma, not that far from here, and I did a lot of FFA,
Oh,
agriculture. I
cool.
played softball for a little while till I got hurt, but I really did, branched out into agriculture, showed some pigs,
Nice.
got down and dirty with some farm animals, I guess.
Did Chris ever do anything like that, or
I think Chris did ag,
that's cool.
but I don't think so.
Gotcha.
I've countrified him. He used to be a city boy. Now he is living the country life.
That's
He wants
awesome.
chickens. I don't know about that. It's not gonna
Now
happen.
where do y'all live right now?
We live in Blanchard.
Okay. What drew you guys out there?
We just wanted out of the city. We lived
Yeah.
in Mustang, and it was too crowded. It
Mm.
literally took me an hour to get home from work, and 30 minutes of it was getting from Morgan Road in Mustang down Highway 152 to our house by Lowe's. So it was
Get me out of this.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was get me out of the city as fast as you can.
That is
So,
crazy. I didn't know that.
it was crazy.
So, how many places have you and Chris lived together since you've been
Oh.
married?
We actually have calculated this before.
Uh-huh.
We have lived in 7 different places.
Wow.
Not 7 different cities,
Uh-huh.
but 7 different places
Wow.
since we've been together.
So, how long have y'all been out in Blanchard where you're at now?
We have lived there for 3
3
years,
years.
and
Cool.
we say it's our forever home. I'm never moving again.
Nice. Yeah. Moving is just the worst.
It's awful.
Yeah,
It is awful. We have been very lucky. When we do move, it seems like all hands are on deck. Everybody comes out to help.
that's great.
And my mother-in-law, Tracy, is amazing because while we're bringing boxes in, she's putting it away. So by
Yeah.
the end of the evening,
Mm.
there is stuff on the walls, all the stuff is in the cabinets, and I'm just like, "Okay, I
Yeah.
could move. I don't like to move,
Said, "I
but I
can
can
do
move."
this." Yeah. That's awesome. So, you live out in Blanchard, you work. Does Chris work full-time as well?
He does. We, both work full-time. His schedule's a little different than mine. He goes in earlier than I do, but he gets off earlier, but he works for Train Heat and Air as inside sales. So, I take the kids to daycare, he picks them up off the bus.
That's
Kind of a
wonderful.
it's a good flow for us.
Yeah.
Um, don't throw a wrench in the mix. We don't do well with schedule changes.
Mhm. Gotcha. Now, something exciting with Chris happened pretty recently in the
Yes.
church. You wanna share that news with us?
In September, Chris, accepted Jesus into his heart, and he was baptized along with his mom at the same time,
That was
and it
such a
was
cool day.
so amazing, and his dad, recommitted himself into
Mhm.
the church at the same time, and his sister as well, so it was just an amazing, blessed day, I'm getting emotional just talking about it, but it was great to know that not only are we together in this world, but after this world, we'll still be together.
Yeah. So, I've gotta imagine that you had some, influence in that situation.
I like to say I do. I mean, we
Mhm.
talked about it in depth over and over again, but in all actuality, it was all him.
That's really
It was all
cool
him.
because, I don't really know your story too much about your journey. Chris's is relatively recent. Tell us about yours. What was your life like before Jesus? When did you come to Jesus? Why did you come to Jesus? Just walk us through that story.
So my story is a little bit different. A lot of people grow up in the church.
Hmm.
They go to church as a kid, or they're born into it. Mine was completely different. My family did not go to church. My grandmother did. She was Church of Nazarene, but my family didn't. My mom, my dad, we didn't go to church. We didn't even go to church on holidays. We never went.
Hmm.
If I wanted to go to church, it was I went with a friend, and we moved out to Tuttle in 1998, I believe, and I ended up moving next to door to this girl with crazy long hair. Her name was Rachel Gracie, and
Oh,
they invited me to church, for the first time, and I was hooked. I
how old were
loved
you
it.
at that point?
I was, I think, 11.
Okay, cool.
And I was hooked. I was so excited. I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna, get to do all these fun things." And I just continued to go with them. Like, they would go to church on Wednesdays, and I would beg them to take me with you. "Yeah, sure, come on." Saturdays, "Please let me stay the night with Rachel so I can go to church." Okay, we went to church the next day. Sunday evening, same thing. And then it got to the point where I was going to church camp. My very first church camp experience, I went with Rachel to put her stuff in her cabin.
Mm,
I just went down for the day with them, and I begged and pleaded, and so happened there was an opening in the cabin, and
wow,
I went home, packed a bag, and I was off to church camp,
that's awesome.
less than 24 hours notice. And I came to camp, and it was just amazing. I got baptized at Camp Rock Creek, and when I was 13 years old by Jason Leger, and it was in the middle of the night. Midnight, pitch black.
Mhm.
We had had a devotional that night, and it was amazing. God spoke to me, and I was like, "I have to do this." They're like, "Do you wanna wait till tomorrow and the whole church can't be there?" I was like, "I can't wait. I need it done now."
Yeah.
And so we trucked down to the pool, and Jason baptized me, and it was just amazing. But when I got home, it was Well, what'd you do that for?
Mhm.
And why do you want to go to church all the time? Why do you want to be around people who are a bunch of hypocrites? It wasn't that my family didn't believe in God, but they didn't believe in the unity or the family of church. It was people in the church, they say one thing on Sunday, but then when they leave church on Sunday, they're a completely different person. That's how they believed. So when I wanted to go to church all the time, it was, why do you want to do that? Um, and as I got older, it just kept getting said, well, why are you going? Why are you going? And so the Gracies were great. They brought me to church anytime I wanted to come. It didn't matter. And then we started going to youth stuff. Jason and Kayla, we didn't have a youth group, but we did. It was an
Mhm.
undisclosed youth group at the time. And so it was Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I was with church and I felt at home. I wasn't judged for who I was, I wasn't judged for what I looked like. I was home. Was here, and everybody just loved you for who you were. Open arms, no judgment. So I was 16, same thing. I made sure I did not work on Sundays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. I work any day, all day long, when I wasn't in school, of course,
Mhm.
but not those days. Those were the days I had to have off. My dad was like, "Don't you want to make more money? Don't you want to do this?" Nope, I want to go to church.
That's cool.
And then I graduated and I kind of stepped away for a while, long while. Took me 14 years to come back. And then we made an agreement with Chris's Mimi when we moved up here from Ada. We moved her up here that we would start going to church. We asked around, anybody know a good church Christ? And everybody said, go to Southwest. And I was like,
Mm.
that's where it all started for me. I want to go back home. And when we came in, it was like I'd never been gone.
That's awesome.
Welcomed with open arms. Everybody was, you've changed a lot, but we're welcoming you home. Thanks for coming back. And everybody welcomed Chris and the kids. And I never pushed Chris to go to church.
Mhm.
Always wanted to go back to church, but I never wanted to be that type of person that was like, we're going to go. You're going to go. I wanted it to be a family decision. And we tried other churches, but nothing felt like home.
Yeah.
And then when we walked here, it was the first service. It was me, Chris, and the kids. We came for the first couple of times without everybody, and we just loved it. We're like, it's this is a place to be. And then everybody started coming too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, y'all take 2
now we're all
rows,
here. I know.
and that's so cool.
We have to make sure it's either the extra long row or it's the regular row and then a little bit of the row behind us.
Yeah. Man, that's really cool, and I think about, um, what you were talking about with work. I was counting the days, Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, was it another day or just s
Sunday, Wednesdays, and
yeah,
Thursdays.
that's 3 out of your 7 days of the week that, when you think about if Rachel I mean, there's just so many different factors that played into where you are today, which is
Oh,
just so cool.
definitely.
I just think about, you were getting fed Sundays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, and you were getting fed this goodness, and you were loving being there, loving being a part of the group. And I'm sure it was tough for you to go home to an environment that wasn't welcoming of that and wasn't supportive of that. I think about me as a teenager and how I mean, teenagers are like sponges. I say that all the time. And so, was it difficult for you to have I mean, you were almost living 2 lives in a way where you're living the spiritual life, where you're on this high all the time. What was it like to have to go home on those nights?
It was hard. I mean, you would be on this spiritual high and you'd be, you know, for instance, Thursday nights, we would sing and we would have fellowship and then we would have a blast. I didn't want to go home.
Mhm.
It was just, man, this feeling is just so great. And then you go home and they don't ask how your night was. They don't they don't want to know what's going on. They don't care.
Mhm.
And in some aspect, I mean, they cared about me as their child,
Right.
but not to know what I'd been doing.
Mhm.
And then I'm not gonna lie, my home life, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't spiritually great. My father was an alcoholic. Um, my mom has different mannerisms that aren't of the best of sometimes. She's not a bad person. He
Right.
wasn't a bad person. They just didn't make great spiritual or worldly decisions. And so it made it hard. And so when you go home to that, you try to focus on the spiritual aspect of it, but you feel like you're being judged in that manner. When I came to church, I didn't feel like I was being judged. But when I went home, I was being judged for trying to make good choices.
Yeah.
And so you just a lot of ups and downs, a lot of highs and lows, and it takes a toll on you as a person. It makes you question, am I really doing what I should be doing? Or should I be focusing on working more? Or I mean, it wasn't study wise because I did great in school. I was blessed. I didn't really have to study until I graduated high school. Then college, then you have to study.
Yeah.
But so it was into me, why don't you want to go out and go hang out with your friends? Or why don't you want to do the teenage thing and go partying? Or
Like you
why don't
said,
you want to work
I was
more?
about to say go make the money. Yeah.
Yeah, go make the money, but that wasn't for me. I looked forward to church things. I looked forward to going to church camp for a week and being a junior counselor or a camp counselor. I enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was hard when I got away from the church because I didn't do the spiritual things. I didn't get the nurture and everything that you get from God and the guidance. So when I walked away, it was really low. I didn't think it was low until I came back to the church. And I was like, man, I have definitely been missing something.
I was about to ask, what and it's pretty personal and you can say I passed, but uh, what was it like being away? And what kept you from going back, whether it was at Southwest or where you were living at the time? What do you feel like kept you away?
I think what kept me away was I didn't want to push my husband or my children into something that they weren't ready for.
Mm.
I didn't want to be, as you would say, what my dad would call people hypocrites or a Bible thumper is what he would call people. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to push things upon somebody else, even though that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to push that upon him.
Mhm.
So I just didn't do it. And I made really bad decisions sometimes in my life, nothing like criminal or anything, but definitely things that, you know, was not something that a Christian would do. I mean, I've definitely had to have asked for forgiveness for a lot of the choices I've made, and, you don't make good thoughts or anything like that. Chris and I have been through a lot in our relationship. We've miscarried 2 children, and that was really low point for us, and Chris had, job troubles every once in a while. I've changed jobs. So, you have a lot of worldly things going on that take you away, and you don't realize that if you would have just opened your arms and, lifted it up to prayer, like, given it to God, maybe things would have changed. Maybe things would have been not to say better or changed in any manner, but you would have had that help or guidance, or at
Mhm.
least somebody there to help you through it.
Yeah. Is that something that now you've been back in the church, are things different when you go through hard times than?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't say that we've been very fortunate. We haven't had to
Mhm.
go through the hard times that we had to go through personally.
Yeah.
But we have, lost some family members, especially this year, that were hard. And it was good to have the family of the church and just the spirituality to know that God is with us at this time.
Yeah, and I'm sure when you're away from that, it's hard to let that come to your mind. It's
Oh,
hard to
definitely.
I'm sure it was hard to feel God in those moments of, desperation and pain that you guys felt. Was there ever, like, a yearning for God in those moments, or do you feel like you were just so far away that that wasn't really a thought for you?
I think I was just so far away that that wasn't even a thought for me.
Yeah. Is that crazy to look back and be like,
Yes.
"Wow, what a difference?"
Most definitely. To look back and see those things that I went through and to see I never turned to God in that aspect,
Mhm.
it's like, wow, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And how different would I have been if I would have just turned around and said, wake me up, God, shake me,
Yeah.
say, what are you doing?
Mhm.
Like, this is not who you're supposed to be.
It's so hard because it's like, obviously, we can't go back and change time,
Right.
and, if you were given the option, would you go back and do it again? Maybe, but at the same time, you think about how much you love God, how much you appreciate the church today. Does it make you wonder, if things were different, would I still love the church the way I do today?
I honestly don't think I would. I don't think I would go back and change anything. And I don't think that, I think the reason I love the church and I'm so excited about the direction that my Christianity is going and what is going on for our family and the church itself, I don't think I would be that appreciative or that excited if I went back and changed everything that I went through. Because I think what I went through was the building blocks of what I am now.
Yeah.
So, yes, the mistakes were awful and walking away from the church for so long and everything was hard, but it made me who I am and it made me so much better today than what I was back then.
Yeah, I just think about the impact that you have on Chris and your family and especially your kids. I mean, they're at such a good age right now that they're just soaking it up, and like you said with Hunter,
Oh my goodness.
man, that kid is I can't wait to watch him keep growing up in the church. I mean, he's led singing what, 3 times now?
Yes.
He's led the same song every time, but he is killing Jesus Loves Me,
Oh my goodness.
and
Well, this last time he added 2 verses.
that's right, he did. He
So,
did.
we talk about it all the time. He always talks about getting baptized. I think that was a huge thing for him to see his dad and his nanny get baptized. I mean, that is just implanted into his brain that I need to get baptized, but I was like, "You need to get baptized when it is right." It's not just a step. It
Mhm,
is a feeling. It is something that you go through and you'll know when it's time, but you have to learn about God and Jesus and what's going on in that aspect first.
mhm,
You have to know what you're doing it for, why you're being baptized, what happens when you come up out of that water and the meaning behind it. And he's such a sponge when it comes up. Brinley, she just loves to sing and she likes to direct when she's singing,
that's so
just like
funny.
you and just
Uh-huh.
like Josh. She'll do it on Sunday mornings when we're standing in church. And I'm like, let your hand down. They see you. And then, like, when you guys get so excited in the pulpit, man, she's like, yes.
That's awesome.
Um, but she's also 4 or 5, so she doesn't really understand what we're talking about, but man, she'll tell you all the time, "God loves me."
That's awesome. That's so
Yes,
wonderful.
yes, he does. So,
I had such an awesome perspective of, Chris's baptism because I was able to be up there with them, and, I had my arm around Hunter, and he was just looking at his dad, looking at his what does he call her? Mimi?
Nani.
Nani. He's looking at his Nani, and he got to experience them going through that life change.
Yes.
And you're right, he's so desperate. And I remember after they were both baptized, we went back and Chris was changing and his Nani was changing, and he was just sitting there crying. And he asked me for a hug, and I gave him a hug, and I'm like, "You okay, buddy? What's going on?" He was like, "I want to be baptized so bad."
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes to Chris, and I think it speaks volumes to you and the way you raise them because they love you guys so much and they want to be just like you.
Yeah.
And I think that is so special, and so that excites me as, your brother in Christ to, know that you want to be a part of this church so much. You want to be a part of the kingdom and help grow the kingdom and help raise them in the kingdom, and, I mean, like you said, he's a sponge. He's gonna
Oh,
keep
man.
soaking it up, and so, I'm so thankful that you're here today. I'm so thankful that, you're on this road right now. So let me ask you this, do you enjoy Christianity? Do you
I
enjoy
love
being a
it.
Christian?
I have learned so much. I mean, I've been a Christian since I was 13, but just in this last year, the classes that I've been going to on Sunday mornings, I've attended 2 now women's classes on Wednesday, just learning about the aspect of Christianity in tons of different manners and different ways, like seeing it from all different viewpoints. On Wednesday nights, we have a new woman in the congregation teaching every single night,
Yeah,
every single
walk
Wednesday.
us through that. What do they go through?
So on Wednesdays, we signed up a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. We Each woman of the congregation that, Vicky reached out to is teaching a different part of the class. So you get your study guide and you learn through it. Mine is on May 18th, and I'm teaching about work and worship and how to balance the 2. So it's just a different perspective, and we get to teach it from any type of way. You can bring the group together, you can stand up and teach at a podium. It's really just however your learning style is,
Yeah,
but everybody's learning style is different, so everybody gets a little bit of something different from it.
it's a great idea.
So it's really nice, and it helps me because I'm studying this and I'm like, "Man, I work and I worship. How do I balance the 2?" So it's something that speaks to me more so than I thought it could. And then learning as a parent, like, I am trying in my best manner to teach my children, and so I'm trying to find ways in the Bible to help me do that in a better manner.
Mhm.
When I grew up, it was you know, different. Like, I didn't have any of those guidelines to go. My mom was a yeller, um, and I used to be, and I'm trying really hard not to be. Um, and so if you have any questions, if there's any something that you don't think that you can do it confidently, if it's anxiety, if it's depression, if it's anything, there is something in the Bible that will lead you into the right direction. There's something that somebody in the Bible has gone through that can help you through what you're going through. There's something, whether it be Bible verse or a story, there's something in the Bible that will help you through it.
Yeah.
Or reach out to the congregation. Like, I have called Kayla many times. I've called Kylie Connor. I mean, I've talked to you. I've talked to Jason. If there's something you're going through, the good thing about Christianity is there's always somebody that can help you,
Mhm.
and you're not gonna get judged for it.
Yeah. And it's so interesting on the last part, you're not gonna get judged for it. It's it reminds me of what you said that your parents said about Christianity, and it really is the rap that Christians get is that we're hypocrites, and, we're fake and we're different people, but it's like, when you really put your mind to Christianity, um, you're gonna do everything you can to be the best version of yourself you can be, and you're gonna mess up. Like, you're
Oh,
going to
definitely.
struggle, you're going to have heartaches, you're going to have hardships, um, but that's the amazing thing about the church is that, typically speaking, someone's probably been where you've been before, to
Oh,
some degree, and
yes.
everyone's journey is different, and, you may like you said, you've lost 2 children. The way you lost 2 children is gonna be completely different from someone else who's lost 2 childs, and so 2 children, not 2 child, sorry. And so I just think about the church is such a blessing, isn't it?
It
It's so
is.
wonderful.
It is such a blessing, and it's just knowing that you always have somebody to go to.
Mhm,
I mean, you have all these people, whether they're young children or troubled youth or even a grown adult, we all lose our way.
mhm,
At some point,
and in some
whether
way.
in some
Yeah,
way, and it could be the tiniest thing or the most monumental thing. But to know that if you lose your way, there's always somebody there that will listen and will help you get back on the right path, will help guide you in the right direction. It's amazing feeling.
yeah. It's so cool to hear that, you're teaching this class in what, like 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
A few weeks. If you were to go back, 10 years and tell Amber Cavaney 10 years ago, "Hey, you're gonna be teaching a ladies class on a Wednesday night," what would you think?
I would call in sick that day. I'd be like, I'm good." I would make any excuse I could to not be
Yeah.
there. I mean, that was just who I was. It was, "You want me to do what?"
Mhm.
"No, I'm good. I'll pass. I'll be a bystander. I'll stand in the back." But to get up and take that lead, not gonna happen. Sorry.
I'm so proud of you. That's so awesome. That's so cool just to think about that. Um, would you be willing to share any struggles or challenges you faced since becoming a Christian? Maybe even in the last year when you've been faithful and you've really been engulfed in Christianity. Have you experienced any hard times or struggles with Christianity?
My struggle with Christianity, well, right now is forgiveness.
Mm,
I have an estranged relationship with my mom. It's so emotional
you're
for me,
okay.
but, um, we did not have a good relationship ever. I can't tell you the time that me and my mom have ever had a good relationship, even growing up. She I was always a daddy's girl. Me and my mom, we clashed, butted heads, didn't get our attitudes didn't mesh well. Um, but, my father passed away in 2017 and we tried to reconnect. Um, and I can honestly say that I'm not perfect because
Good, me neither.
yeah, I made choices and I held grudgments against her. But I can honestly say I tried to open my arms to her, let her have a relationship with her grandchildren, and I never once told her no, and I couldn't push away from that. It's her grandchildren.
Hmm.
And she walked away from them, and she'll every once in a while, every couple months, she'll send a text message, "We need to get together," or she'll wanna come into the kids' lives, and I'm so standoffish because I don't want anybody in and out of their life. And every year for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, she'll message and say, we need to fix our relationship. We need to get back together and become one again. And that's so hard for me as a Christian, I should say yes. Let's open that relationship, you know, forgive and open arms and I love you and make things right. But as a mom and a daughter, how do you just forgive all the trouble in the past?
Mm,
So that's my struggle is forgiveness with Christianity.
yeah.
And that's been my struggle for a while. And that's what I've talked to, Chris and I talk about it all the time. And he's like, well, what would the Christian do? Well, the Christian would forgive
Yeah.
and just let bygones be bygones and you love and you start anew and you just forgive. But how do you get to that point? That's
Mhm.
my struggle.
Yeah. And that's that's a lot easier said than done, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
And when Jesus talks about, hey, when they hit you on the cheek, turn the other cheek and give it to them. Let them hit you again. It's just it's so radically different than what the world tells us to do.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
you said, you've got this internal battle of, hey, I'm Christian Amber, but I'm also mom Amber, and there's that battle that you have to deal with. Um, what are some ways that you feel like you've overcome that so far in your life? And I know it's a work in progress,
Oh,
as
for
if
sure.
as is everything, but do you feel like there's been anything that's really helped in that?
Well, I mean, I try to look at it in the aspect of I always respond because at least I'm responding. So it's a step forward.
Mhm.
So anytime she reaches out, I've always answered. I've always responded. Um, but just I just haven't been able to get over the hurdle of everything else.
Yeah.
But the thing that I can say is as a Christian person, I'm at least acknowledging and responding. Now I just need help with the other Christian aspect of pushing forward.
Yeah. I guess my encouragement to you is that just look at how far you've come in the 1 year, and maybe in a year from now or 2 years from now, you'll go back and listen to this and you're in just the best relationship with your mom you've ever been in.
Yeah.
There's ways God works in our lives that we'll never
Yeah, we have no
understand,
clue.
and he'll work in ways, and hopefully that's one of those things for your sake and for hers. What encourage you've already offered a lot, which has been wonderful. But what encouragement would you offer to, the Christian that's listening to this?
Don't let the fear of your past or even your present keep you away. Like,
Mm,
open your arms to the church, whether it's our church, which we would love for anybody to come with open arms to our church. But go to church. Doesn't matter what it is, but just walk in. That's the first step, walking
mhm,
in the doors and having an open heart about it because you never know, it could be life-changing. It will be life-changing.
yeah,
You walk through those doors and you give your heart to God, there's gonna be amazing things that happen. So that's my advice is just walk through the door and go with somebody. If you even if you're not a Christian and you go to church and you haven't accepted Jesus into your heart, bring somebody who doesn't go to church. I know I have reached out to multiple people. I have a friend that I've invited twice now, and I'll keep inviting her. She
yeah,
she needs our love and support just like everybody else, and I'll invite her until she comes, and then hopefully
mhm,
she'll continue to come. And I know Chris has reached out to others, and it's just make sure you're inviting somebody. Make sure
mhm.
you're opening your arms. We did the same thing with our family. We came first, and then we drug them all along.
I was
So,
about to say, I mean, yeah, going back to the 2 full rows of people that you have coming with you, did you ever imagine that you'd all be in
no.
the same under the same roof worshiping the same God together?
I never thought that
Yeah,
just me and my husband, would be worshiping under, let alone his dad, his mom, his
mhm,
sister, her husband when he can come when he's not at work, his Mimi. Like I never imagined all of us coming. So it makes my heart so full
yeah,
that my family is coming, and it makes my heart full that I can share with my kids the joy that I have coming to church and how much I loved it, enjoy it, and now seeing it in my kids.
mhm.
Brinley cries when we leave.
Yeah, she does, she hates leaving.
She hates leaving. We have to pick her up and carry her outside of the church. That is an amazing thing. If you have
Mhm.
to pick your children up and carry them outside of church, you know you're doing something right.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it's not just because she gets to jump off the stage and show her cool skills. It's because she loves to be here,
Yeah.
and she loves everybody. She is shy, and people here do not think she is shy.
No.
They're like, "Shy? No." Yeah, if you in public with her, she won't talk to anybody. But here, she doesn't stop talking. She talks to everyone.
Yeah.
So,
And that's so cool about your family. And, I think a lot of times people are so scared to invite people to church because they're going to say no.
yeah.
And okay, sure, I can't tell you how many friends I've invited that just say no. And maybe it's because they've been hurt by religion in the past, they've been hurt by a church in the past. And at some level, you can only do so much. But a
Oh,
lot
for
of
sure.
times, we don't even take that step of just literally saying, hey, come with me to worship on Sunday, or come to Bible study with me on Thursday night, or just come with me to youth group on Wednesday night. And so there's just so much power in just simply inviting someone. And we do it with everything else in the world. So it's like, why are we so scared to do it for church?
Oh, yeah. I
And
mean, I
so,
don't know how many times I've invited somebody, "Come over, come hang out.
yeah.
We'll watch the football game or something." But if I can invite you over to my house I'm inviting you into my personal home
Mhm.
to watch a football game, why can't I invite you into God's home to hear an amazing word?
Yeah.
Like, I should be more scared to invite you into my
Yeah,
home
it's true. That's
than to
scarier.
invite you into
You're like,
church.
I have to clean
Yeah,
at church.
like,
Someone
the church is already clean.
said, shout out Jim Leger, awesome
Yes,
custodian.
you rock. You clean up after our crazy children, and
You get Brinley's donut
yeah,
sprinkles.
I owe you some vacuuming. Yes, for sure. She is not the cleanest eater. Um, nor my other son, or my other kid. So, I do owe you some vacuuming, Jim. Hit me up. We got it. But, yeah, I mean, just invite somebody. Open your arms. I mean, we are all going through something, whether we're all, just treading the line and
Mhm.
having what we say, a good, normal, smooth path right now, but we all have rocky situations.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all have, ups and downs and valleys, but everybody needs somewhere to go.
Mhm.
So just open your arms. If you can invite one person a month, just a month, if you invite one person a month, imagine how much you can change in that one person's life.
Yeah.
And not even a week, but just once a month, invite one person. And how awesome would it be if that one person became a sister or brother in God?
Yeah. That's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No?
All right. Well, thank you so much. I
Thanks for
really,
having
really
me.
loved our conversation and getting to talk with you. And like I said, it's been such an inspiration to watch you and Chris and
Well, thank
your
you.
family be a part of the church here. And I just pray for nothing but growth. And I can't wait to watch your kids grow up and get to minister to them. And I think I'm going to need some prayers as I think about those kids being
Oh, man.
teenagers.
I'm
But
scared.
I'm
I'm scared
excited.
for you. I'll pray for you.
Thank you. Thank
Most
you. You'll be
definitely.
here and you'll be able to experience it with me too. So.
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you really enjoyed getting to know Amber a little bit better. If you don't mind leaving this episode a good review on Spotify and Apple Podcast, subscribing on YouTube and liking the video, and just sharing this post on Facebook. You never know, something that me or Amber said could change somebody's lives. And that's the
Yeah.
goal of this. That's our prayer, is that the kingdom's going to grow as a result of listening to the stories of different Christians who have come from all different backgrounds. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great day. I love you and God loves you. I'll talk to you in the next episode.